All right, Gemini, this is really good. Although I think that for a lot of you, you may feel like a situation is just going round and round. You're going to be given clear indicators that you are on the right path. So the spiral dancer. Now, God help me if I could say this right. Circuitous route and perception. And then you have message in a bottle. Now, this is interesting to me because I just got done telling, and I can't remember who it was, not to second guess the signs or constantly depending on signs to point them in the right direction. For you, you're going to be given reminders because this is going to feel like you're experiencing this kind of like setback. But again, it's all about perception. Now, the spiral dancer is going to be just like round and round from Wisdom of the Oracle, which, you know, I should have expected using two Colette Baron Reed decks. But anyway, very much the same, letting you know that what you may be experiencing as a setback isn't. It's meant to take you higher. So it's an upward spiral here. But it's a reminder that, you know, the path that you are on is the right one. It's just not going to be a straight path. So you may be experiencing a situation that's happening over and over again, or it's just going in circles and not going anywhere. But message in a bottle is saying that you need to pay attention. So you may have somebody say just the right thing to you, or you may hear a song on the radio, or you may see like 1111 all the time, or like 333, right? And I don't know about you guys, but it's driving me fucking nuts. I actually get pissed when I see it. Like, what the hell? What does it mean? But for you, it's going to be clear direction. That don't worry, you are on the right path. Everything is good. But what I found interesting with this is that it only starts when you make the first move. So for Moonology, be bold and make the first move, the cardinal moon. It says, I am taking charge of my destiny. It says, be bold and follow your heart and your emotions. Avoid recklessness or moving too fast, which I think is interesting with the spiral dancer. And then it says, come into your power. The time for action is now. So you're going to have to initiate something. But once you do, even though you may see things as, you know, being setbacks, you're going to be given those clear signs that you're on the right path, that you're headed in the right direction. All right. Here is your overall. Oh, God. Gemini. What? All right. With the Ten of Swords being the overall, definitely experiencing a painful ending. But it may be that, you know, some of you are going to have to let go of it now. Right? And one of the things that they talk about with the Ten of Swords is once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. But it may not be that easy for you to let go or for somebody else to let go of. Like, I almost feel like some of you are being reminded that something ended in a really bad way, you know, but we'll see here. Because I look at this as the overall, and this has already happened for you. It's just that this is where the focus is right now. Oh boy, in the past, the King of Swords. Now, if that's you, let's say that you are having a conversation with another person. If you are the King of Swords in this situation, you are trying to be like diplomatic. You're not trying to be cruel. You're not trying to be mean, but that communication caused a really difficult end. Now, for those of you who are dealing with a person, possibly another air sign, male, female, doesn't matter, the conversation doesn't go the way that it's intended. Because I look at him and I think, he's different than the Queen of Swords. Okay, so the Queen of Swords, she doesn't deal with anybody coming to her without evidence, right? She cuts it down immediately. The King of Swords is a little bit more open where, you know, he will clearly voice that, you know, if you're being overly emotional, he does not take that into consideration. But he is willing to listen, but then he gives his fair assessment and judgment. Now, the problem with him, though, is he walks a very fine line. And I've talked in length about him before. He can be very just, very fair, or he can be a straight up abusive and mentally abusive asshole. Now, that could be somebody that you have dealt with in the past, or maybe somebody has misinterpreted communication, but we'll see here. Now, in the present, the Eight of Pentacles. So, and then I look at that with the Ten of Swords, and I think, if we're talking about a person, we're talking about communication very specifically here between you and someone else. The Eight of Pentacles in the present moment can be about you wanting to work things out, but it's going to take a lot of hard work to get past a difficult ending to a situation with somebody who may have misinterpreted something. And I don't know why I'm getting that, because I usually need more, but I don't know. I feel like for the Geminis that I'm talking to that are embodying the King of Swords, whether you're male or female, I feel like somebody was not understanding of what you were trying to communicate. But I think that you're willing to put in the effort to kind of like get past this and, get past this painful ending. Now, for some of you, it may be that you need to accept that a situation with a person who is emotionally detached is over. And that's just straight up. Because putting your time and your effort into this with the Ten of Swords, is it going to be for nothing? Future conditions, the Ace of Wands. I say that, and then you have this new beginning. The Ace of Wands, though, in future conditions, for some of you, you may be looking at a new beginning with someone, like I said, that may have been misinterpreting communication. But we're looking at, a new passionate beginning for you. For some of you, you're needing to end a difficult situation with a person, possibly with a work situation, looking at the Eight of Pentacles. For some of you, it opens up the door, though, for you to follow a new passion here. That or something's being reignited between you and someone else, which is possible here. But with the Ace of Wands, it could be passion. It could be about a relationship. It could be about new creative inspirations and ideas where maybe it didn't go anywhere before. I think that once you get past that Ten of Swords, maybe someone becomes more receptive. But we'll see how this is coming out, and if we're talking about like somebody judging you here, clearly they were wrong because you're proving them wrong with the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, your best path to follow, and going back to the cardinal moon here, definitely it's time for you to take action and follow this passion. So this, I feel like, is like, get back up on that goddamn horse and get your ass moving, but in a good way. Because you have this passion being restored for something. And when something ends for you, it's opening the door for this, even if it's the same situation. But can we get past this, So it's going to be a problem, but really that's on you and how you handle this. So you may have seen it as one of those things where it's like, well, fuck it. What's the point? Because of it ending in this way. But I look at this as your advice, and I think, yeah, we need to get moving again. You need to get going. You need to find that passion again. And you got to go. And you have to follow it. Especially if this is about like a work situation or something that you're doing creatively. Because I look at the Eight of Pentacles, and like I've always said with that one, that to me clearly indicates that somebody knows what they're doing. You clearly have a skill and a talent here. I love your card, Gemini. I do. It's such a beautiful card. Although I have problems with the Adam and Eve depiction. But I guess that depends on how you look at the symbology. But anyway, or the symbolism, I should say. If I could fucking talk right. The Lovers in your environment with the Eight of Pentacles. If it's about a love relationship, this could definitely be about, you needing to make a really difficult choice here to say, okay, it's over. I need to stop putting in the effort and I need to make a different choice here and maybe follow a different opportunity. Now, on the other hand, absolutely, for some of you, this could be a situation with an ex where things have ended in a really bad way. It may be a lot of hard work and effort, but that's really your choice on if you want to put in that effort or not. But I would rather have seen the Six of Pentacles rather than the Eight of Pentacles. because when do you get to the point where you're like, I've put in so much into this and it's not going anywhere. Why would I continue to do that? But with the Lovers, that could just be you needing to make a really big choice in your life to follow something that you have a love for. But definitely for some of you, it may be about a relationship. Ending one and having an opportunity to begin something different, something new. But you're going to be responsible for initiating it, especially with that cardinal moon being there. But I especially love this Lovers card. It's beautiful. Okay, your hopes and your fears, the Queen of Pentacles. And I think that, if we're talking about this in terms of relationships, the very first thing that I'm getting from this is that you don't want to be in a codependent situation. And I'm not seeing the devil here anywhere or anything like that. Or I don't feel anything super negative other than somebody possibly from the past where things were miscommunicated, ended in a really bad way. But the feeling from the Queen of Pentacles is, I need to be able to hold my own. I need to feel secure. I need to feel independent. I get that from her. Now, for some of you, in terms of work, it may be that you're hoping to kind of like pick yourself up and dust yourself off and get back to it and rediscover this passion. But I think that if you continue, despite the fact that you may have been shot down by, someone else, you have an opportunity that's created out of that, So it's like I continue putting in the effort and, it's like the universe responds. And right? And then I go back to the oracle cards and think, round and round we go. But really where you're headed is exactly where you need to be. But sense of security with her and self-worth too. But being, strong and independent in your own right. And then coming out the Ace of Pentacles, all surrounding something that ends in a really shitty way. But maybe it was meant to happen that way, right? So you have these two beautiful opportunities. And I'm telling you, I feel two different ways. And it doesn't surprise me. The Ace of Wands could definitely be about passion being reignited for a relationship where there may have been a breakup or things were miscommunicated or somebody was being a dick. You are getting over that now. There's a lot of hard work that's being put in, and that may be on somebody else's part. It may be on your part, but you're going to have to make the choice here. Do you want to act on this? But you need to be in a place where you don't feel dependent on this relationship, and then you move into the Ace of Pentacles where we're talking about seeing some realistic growth with this if we're starting over. Now, for some of you, this is two very different opportunities. And it would make sense why the Lovers is in your environment. So it may be a choice between lovers, possibly. You have the passion that you have for somebody that may have been a dick, right? Or we're talking about something that's going to be more realistic for you. But you need to follow where your passion is like pulling you. And I think that you need to see that through looking at the Knight of Wands. But then again, looking at the Ten of Swords, and I feel like I need to give that warning, right? With the Ten of Swords being the overall, do you really want to go through this again? And are you prepared to accept the consequences of that action? But the thing is you come out with the Ace of Pentacles anyway. So I don't really see that Knight of Wands as a bad thing. But, the choice between temptation and moral high ground, right? And then the Queen of Wands, interesting. Right? And then going along with passion, I think that there's a part of you that's going to feel better about yourself more so than anything. And it may be that you start to feel better once you just let this be over with whatever is coming in from the past, or whoever is coming in from the past, I should say. The Five of Wands, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to miscommunication. It's almost like every time that you talk to somebody, it's like they don't get it. Like, I don't understand. So there's going to be this constant, combative type of energy of, no, you're not right, and I'm right, and back and forth. But I think that for a lot of you, you just can't do it anymore. But then you have the sun. Now, the sun can definitely suggest here with the Eight of Pentacles and looking at the Lovers that new life is being breathed back into this, even though we're looking at the Ten of Swords as the overall. Now, on the other hand, you may be seeing things very clearly. But I think that what's more important with the sun here is that once you let this go and once you let this situation kind of like die and be done and over with, I think that, you're going to feel better about yourself. I think that there's going to be a renewal of energy for you with the Queen of Wands. Now, and I'm only getting this for only a few of you. I feel like I need to say this. As far as the Ace of Pentacles coming out, we could be looking at, a new beginning for potential growth, but that's only when the light is shown on somebody that may have been causing conflict between you and a person in particular. Especially for those of you who are looking at relationships, and with the Queen of Wands, it wouldn't surprise me that it's her. But, like I say, the queens to me are what we're internalizing, whether you're male or female. And when you look at that with the sun, this is, yes, I feel better. I feel better now that I'm not engaging in this kind of conversation anymore where we're not seeing things the same way. Interesting. But I do think that some of you straight up have two different opportunities, and you may have to make a big choice on, what is realistic and what is practical, or something that you still have a passion for, but needs to be over with, because things may have been very painful. And then, yeah, and I kind of feel like that with the Queen of Pentacles, right? So the root chakra, the first chakra, and being, more grounded, right? And not getting caught up in something where you feel codependent, but acceptance of an ending here, but accepting it causes transformation that's going to make things more grounded for you, or you're going to feel more grounded. And it's good. It's really good. And you may have other opportunities opening up out of this though, but I don't know, because I'm looking at hard work being put in to restore a passion or to have a new beginning. But that's really up to you. You may have to follow that to get to a place where you can accept that, it can't be brought back to life. But I look at you coming out much, much better, with a much better opportunity though. And then you have back to what you love. Your current situation is giving you an opportunity to reevaluate what you want. And that may be reevaluating a couple of options, Gemini. It's not bad. But I wonder if this isn't resurfacing for a reason. For those of you who are looking at a relationship with a person in particular where the conversations have never gone anywhere, right? Or there's this constant like petty arguing between the two of you. Like, I don't know. I think for some of you, you have to, I want to tell you that you have to let it go, but it's not my place. You're going to have to make that choice. Okay. So my thoughts are like all over the place with this, because I do see two different opportunities for you. And I think that the reason why this is coming back is so that you can see clearly now that maybe this is not worth putting in the effort anymore. It's not worth working at if, you can't get past the fact that things ended in a really painful way, or if this person is no different than what they were before. But you may have to follow that path in order to realize it. But what it puts you on is something much better. And then I go back to Spiral Dancer. It's interesting to me, and you guys are going to have to let me know, but I do think that with rest and relaxation, you're going to have to give yourself a timeout or a break before you jump into a new opportunity or a new situation or a new, relationship. But you're going to get back to, I think, a part of you that may have been lost because of this, looking at back to what you love. But I do think that for some of you, right, like there's going to be a couple of options, and both of them don't look so bad. As long as we're not talking about a passion that's going to burn out with somebody that is not going to change.